Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Sandra. If you have not been here before, welcome to my August plan with me for my monthly bullet journal setup. So as you can see by the washi tape, this month is inspired by fruit. So I've only picked a few fruits, but I'm going to go crazy with the bright colors. I am kind of done with the green. I've used so many green shades, I can't even count. So again, I am using an Indigo Paperblanks dot grid notebook. This will be the last month in this journal, and I will be moving on to a new one for September. I think I did say I'm using an Archer and Olive for that one, so please be sure to see my bullet journal set up for that. So here I am adding August to the front of the page, and I did use a Marvy Le Plume 2 brush pen, which I have never used before. All of the colors will be linked down below in the description box, but it was an 83 Butterscotch, I believe. So I'm using a mix of my Crayola Super Tip markers, Zebra Mile Liner highlighters, even a Tombow dual brush pen, and I'm just drawing some watermelons, cherries, strawberries, and pineapples. And I honestly think the pineapples were my favorite thing to draw. So I'm just adding the green parts to everything, and this is the part that I loved about the pineapples, because I feel like even though it's a 2D drawing, I still feel like I made it more of an actual pineapple instead of just a blob of yellow on the page. So I'm using my brown Zebra Mile Liner there to add the pineapple lines, and I am outlining everything with my Sakura Pigma Micron 05, which is a 0.45mm tip. And I'm adding some extra little details on each of the fruits. And then I go in with my Uniball Signo Broad White Gel Pen to add some finishing touches and to make the fruit look a little bit more realistic. I did decide to take a cue from the Art Geek. You can see her channel on YouTube. I wanted to make this one little watermelon have some character, so I gave it a little face. But thank you for the inspiration. I also used two different blending techniques in this monthly spread. So you will see shortly for the month of August, I decided to add some red with my Tombow dual brush pen here. So first I kind of give it a little bit of a drop shadow just to make it pop, because the fruits were popping and the August was just kind of sitting in the background. So I take this red pen and then I go over it again with my Marvy Le Plume 2 brush pen. And honestly, this is not the best method to blend. It still gave it a nice pop of color though. Okay, and then of course the next page is my monthly calendar layout. This I do use for bills. So I start off with my YouTube growth tracker, and again for this spread, one of my inspirations was of course Amanda Rach Lee, and I know that she did a fruit spread for one of her summers. I think it was, I want to say it was this summer. But I did try to give it my own touches, and here is a second blending technique. This works way better. So I'm actually using the Tombow dual brush pen and the Marvy Le Plume together, and I think it turned out really nice. So I am adding again, which I've added for the last couple of months, a little goal section, and it's not really goals as much as kind of a running, ongoing monthly task list, if that makes sense. So with the boxes, I took extra care when I was penciling them in to really round out the corners, because I didn't want sharp edges with this month, and I also wanted it to have spaces between each box, and I believe each of these squares is 6 by 6 with one grid spacing in between each of them. So I decided to use different fonts. So some of it was actual brush lettering and some of it was pretty much kind of monoline lettering and a mix between handwriting and hand lettering, if that makes sense. So I did take my Sakura Pigma Graphic Marker 1.0 and I made these little circles in each of the boxes. And I do go in later on with my Uniball Signo Broad White Gel Pen just to add the numbers on top of the little black circles. And I am adding a little bit of decoration with some fruit around the page. And the pineapples is the same technique as on the cover page. Next, I'm adding some greenery to each of the fruits. And then I go in with my brown zebra mildliner to add the details on the pineapples, which I'm in love with those pineapples. And now I'm taking my Sakura Pigma Micron 0.5 fine liner tip and adding black details on each of the fruits and outlining them as well. And I am going in with my white gel pen and adding the white finishes on each of the fruits as well. And also writing in all of the numbers of the days of the month. And I kind of thought it needed something extra, so I went in on some of the boxes, not all of them, just a couple, just to give some visual interest and some color behind the boxes because I just thought it looked a little plain with the fruit surrounding it. And the goals box was looking a little lonely over there, so I added a green drop shadow. This next spread is another calendar, but this one I use for events like birthdays and specific dates like going to the like any doctor's appointments or dentist. And the page on the right is my YouTube calendar. So I added these couple of decorations to the top of the page. And I decided to use my red Tombow dual brush pen, just add events and YouTube at the top. And this is the most simple design. I just draw a line down the middle of the page, and a lot of people draw it at the left side of the page in the left margin and then have more room to write, but I really like having extra space so that if I want to break it up I can. And I number on each side of this line, I put the numbers of the days of the month, and on the right hand side I put the days of the week. And then I always go back in and I highlight the beginning of the week, which for me is always Sunday. This next spread is my dream log. So I really like to leave this page this spread open. I've added a couple of decorations to the corners, but other than that, I love having the room to write. And I know I've mentioned this before, but the more I write down my dreams, it seems the more I remember them. But I've been practicing this technique that as soon as I wake up and I remember my dream, I repeat it to myself in my head, and then by the time I get downstairs, I can write it in my journal. Another trick would probably be just to have my journal right beside me, but I also have my son to take care of, so that's sometimes not always an option. Okay, this page and this spread is even more simplistic. It is my Doodle a Day page. And please look out on Instagram for my July Doodle a Day page because it is almost complete and I always like to post a picture of it halfway through. And on the previous page with Doodle a Day, I decided to draw it in orange just to give it more visual interest because I usually do all my pictures in black. So these spreads are my habit tracker and my mood tracker. I've decided to change it up again. If you guys have watched my previous 2 months of Plan With Me's, you will have noticed that I decided to do a graph style tracker, and I decided this time to go back to my individual habit trackers. But I got super lazy and I did not write any of the grids in any of these boxes, nor the numbers, because I seemed to grow things to track, if that makes sense. I now have 14 or 15 things I'm tracking, which, I mean, goodness, honestly, it's so much to kind of keep track of, but these are things that are important to me and I really want to have them done each day, so why not? And you will notice there is a blank one on the top right, and that's just, it fit on the page, just, I wanted to make it even and I couldn't think of another habit to track, so I left it blank in case I do think of one. And you will notice the only thing I forgot on the bottom left hand of the page, I forgot to add my doodles. I was in a rush and I don't know what I was thinking, but I will go back in later and add them. So I decided to draw a pineapple for my mood tracker and use realistic pineapple colors to fill in the days, my moods. So really, really happy is green, and it goes all the way to really, really sad, which is brown. And I'm so impressed with myself. I actually managed to draw in the right number of little kind of squares for like 31 days. I was so impressed. So this next spread is my video ideas page. And I added a few decorations, of course, because I have to add my decorations. But I did break it up into 4 categories this time. I think last month I had only 3 categories, but I put my bullet journal and stationery categories together. But I decided to separate them. So I did use my black Tombow Funosuke hard tip brush pen to write these categories. So my first one is of course makeup for makeup videos, lifestyle, which would be what's in my purse and any vlogs I decide to do, my bullet journal, and of course stationery. And the page is left open so I can write down any ideas, and of course if you guys have any ideas, please leave them in the comment section for me below. Now these pages I have to kind of give note. So this affirmations page on the left, I've never done this before, and I wanted to add some positivity to my journal and some optimism and something that would kind of take care of my self-care, if that makes sense. And the affirmations, I saw that Juliet Lynn had done this, and I really like the idea. So basically it's positive things that you see yourself doing or capable of doing, and just like literally a line a day. And I think it's just so helpful. And the gratitude also, because it's nice to recognize what we're grateful for in this life, and it really helps make me a better person, and it kind of makes me happy when I know I've got things that I'm grateful for and that I am really happy to have in my life. So this is the second last spread, but the last spread that I'll really be doing any artwork on. This is my weekly spread, and I've really changed it up. So I'm not sure if you would have noticed, but on the very first cover page, I had done kind of one of these banners under the word August. I decided to leave it alone because each of my weeks I need to have different, so I've been coming up with different layouts and different ideas to make each week kind of be different than the last. So for this one, I've decided to add banners to each of my boxes, and I've kept the boxes I've had in the past in my July Plan With Me. So for instance, one is my events, which will be on the left page. So I know I have monthly events, but as per the bullet journal style, I like to transfer those monthly events to the current week to kind of break it down into more manageable chunks. And then I also have a running task list for the week as well. So I kind of do the same thing with the monthly task list. Anything that I want to get specifically done this week goes into this spread here. And on the right page, I do have a meal plan and a grocery list, a note section, and a little spot for next week as well. And I've added all my doodles to the bottom of the page. And I really like how the banners on this page make it pop. I feel like the only thing I left out that I did include last time was actually a little bar for the day, like the week. But I know which week it is, and I've marked it in my, like the beginning of my bullet journal, so I know what it is. But I don't know, it feels like it's missing something. It's kind of weird. Maybe it's just me. So I am just outlining all of the banners and the boxes, and of course the fruit. So I kind of felt like the banners were missing something, and they were. It was the drop shadow. So I think it just makes it pop a little bit more with this black drop shadow with my Fudenosuke pen. And I also decided to go in, which I didn't on the last week of July, which I had to go back in after the video was already made. But I did add a drop shadow to each of these boxes as well, because again, I just felt like it was missing something. So I added my white gel pen for the days of the week on those black boxes, and now I am adding the drop shadow, and I think it just gives it an extra added touch. Okay, last but not least, I need to add my little white accents on each of my fruits. And then just to kind of give this weekly spread a little bit something extra, and to kind of foreshadow for my dailies, I decided to add a little bit of the washi tape that I'll be using for the first week of the month. I just think this washi tape is adorable. And I'll try to use a different washi tape for each of my weekly spreads. And this is me adding it to the top and bottom of my daily. And I first saw Cindy Guntart-Baldo do this, and I love it. I've loved it ever since I've seen her do it, and I can't stop doing it. I finally found a very productive use for my washi tape. So this is the final flip through. I hope you guys enjoyed this month's plan with me. I know I had so much fun creating it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you have not already done so. And remember to hit that bell button to be notified every single time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys very soon.